Welcome to our annual Highlands Chamber meet and greet. This is kind of like a tradition that we've been putting together over the last 5 years. Essentially, we invite candidates from local town government offices, people that are looking to seek office locally, as well as regional offices. In past years, we've had guests from New York State Assembly, New York State Senate, individuals that are looking to seek those offices, and individuals that have been in that office for some time. So we have a decent number of people that will be speaking today. We're going to have to go in somewhat of an orderly fashion to make sure that we don't take up your entire day. I promise you this won't be a 3-hour Zoom meeting. Today's format, before we go into our guests, each candidate momentarily is going to be given 5 minutes to speak. I'm going to time it myself. I want to make sure that it's nice and orderly, and it's Zoom. It's not something that's in person. Obviously, in the past, before the pandemic, we've been able to do this in person, but unable to do so for safety purposes. So we figured that the best way of doing it is figuring out how many candidates, how many individuals are going to be at the meet and greet to speak, and then divide that up. And we figured that the best amount in order to get us out before, let's say 9:30, is 5 minutes to speak per individual candidate. It will be timed. I'll be using my phone to time it. And then at approximately the 4-minute mark, and this is a note to each candidate, keep an eye on your chat window. I will be sending you a private message to let you know that you're at the 4-minute mark. It also would be helpful, for yourself if you have a little timer on the side just to keep yourself focused. And then at the 4:45 mark, I will again send you a notification. And then at around the 5-minute mark, I'll be turning off your mic. Hopefully that's okay. I just wanted to, try and do it in a way where I don't just jump in and say, hey, you got to stop and, make it all weird and everything. So we don't want to do that. So again, 4-minute mark, we're going to send you a notification in the chat window. And then at the 4:45 mark, you'll have about 15 seconds left so you can wrap it up. And then I'll end your, close off your microphone at the 5-minute mark. Please, all other individuals, keep your microphones muted during that time. We will have a Q&A at the very, very end of this Zoom session. I want to give all the candidates a chance to speak before that time. Format for who speaks first, we decided to go with the New York State Senate, then the New York State Assembly, then going to switch over to the local Highlands races. And after that, we had a few people that contacted us over the past few days asking to speak about the spot open for, I believe, the 9th District State Supreme Court spot. So we're going to give that time after the Highlands spots are discussed by candidates. The incumbents will speak last after the people that are challenging that particular seat for each spot. So for instance, State Senate, the incumbent will speak after the challenger for that spot, then State Assembly, challenger, incumbent, and so on and so forth. So you can calculate out when you will be speaking. Again, Q&A will be given after all the candidates have spoken. It's recommended that you put your question in chat first so that we can moderate it. We're not looking to censor it or anything like that, but I just want to have an order for the questions to be asked and who will be asking that question. It also helps us to determine whose mic to turn on and off at a particular time. We'll do the best we can with that. That's going to be a little tricky, but we'll work it the best we can. We'll unmute your mic. We're asking that you ask your question in 15 seconds. I know that's a huge challenge just to get it out. So, you might want to think about it beforehand. And an even bigger challenge to the people that will be answering that question, we ask you to respond in 45 seconds. So right to the point, and just try and state your point as best as possible, and I will notify you via chat when your time is up. Final thing to note is that this Zoom meeting is being recorded. It's going to be posted to YouTube and Facebook, and then it will be subsequently shared to a group that we have in Highland, the town of Highlands. It's called the Highlands Community Facebook group, and you can pick that up on Facebook at facebook.com/HighlandsNY. And that's a great place where local people can talk about issues both in the town and in the surrounding area. Our guests today, first will be the New York State Senate District 39, Steve Brescia, and then James Skoufis, incumbent. New York State Assembly District 99, Sarita Bhandarkar, I hope I said that right, and incumbent Colin Schmitt. And we're going to switch over to the town of Highlands Council. We decided to go in alphabetical order for that, just to try to be fair, figure out a good order for this. So we're going to go with Jim DiSalvo, Ty King, Jim Modlin, and Tony Squicciarini. Tony messaged me last night and indicated that he's not going to be available. If Jim DiSalvo would like to add an extra 5 minutes on behalf of him, and it has to be that you're speaking on behalf of him, I can send you the documents that he had written to me last night. I don't think it's fair for me to be able to speak it, but if you'd like to speak on behalf of him, read off that would be fine. And then finally, we will end with the Supreme Court 9th Judicial District. We have Hyun Chin Kim, David V. Hasin, and Richard Guertin. I hope I got all of your names right. So that's it. We're going to get our format started. We're going to start with Steve Brescia. Let me just get my timer going. One moment, please. And thank you, by the way, all for being here, being concerned about local government and regional and eventually national this coming month. It's very important to continuing on our democracy. Whichever way things go. I heard something back in college. One of my professors says that the pendulum has to swing both ways in order for democracy to thrive. So I think through the orderly processes that we've put in place over the last several hundred years, and the good people that are looking to try to make a difference, I think we will continue to thrive both in local, regional, and national politics. So first up is Mr. Steve Brescia. I'm going to unmute your mic. Okay, and Steve, if you can just push the unmute button on your side.
Okay, I should be good now. You hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay, please start whenever you're ready, and I'll get you timed.
Thanks, Tom. One of the first things I'd like to do as senator is to help small businesses throughout the 39th district. That is a field from whence I come, and my 20 plus years in the management in the retail lumber business will help me to help navigate businesses through this COVID crisis and the $14 billion deficit that the states incurred, $7 billion before COVID, I might remind you. And I do want to read something because I think I didn't want to forget anything. New York's business climate. Number 2, least favorable climate in the US for business. Source, the Tax Foundation. Number 1, worst state in the US on regulatory policy. Cato Institute, right-leaning libertarian think tank founded as the Charles Koch Foundation in '74. Land use freedom is very low. Renewable portfolio standards are high. Number 2, worst state in the US for business. Number 4, most unfriendly policy environment in the US, Entrepreneurship Council. And number 7, worst state tax systems in the US for small business and Entrepreneurial Council. So I think you get the picture of how we're doing business in New York State. And we don't do business that way in Orange County. We have a great business environment. I sit on the Orange County IDA and Business Accelerator, and we try to bring businesses in all the time. We help businesses navigate through the COVID crisis with $500,000 in loans to 50 businesses, 10,000 per business. And we provided consulting support. 150 companies went for PPP loans, and we provided much advice to those companies. We had 8 webinars with AWOW for manufacturers to adapt to changes. And our fashion cluster, which is in Chester, New Windsor, and the city of Newburgh, has hired 115 people. So we put our money where our mouths are, or we put your money where our mouths are, and we create jobs in Orange County. And I just don't think that that's happening in New York State. We can definitely do much better. And from the county vantage point and the village vantage point, we need to stop unfunded mandates. During my whole tenure in office, 33 years in village government and 27 in county government, we've incurred many mandates from the state of New York, and they're unfunded. And what New York State should do is, if they're going to pass these mandates, they need to pay for these mandates. I mean, it's cost the taxpayers millions of dollars just to try to try to flip the bill. So I'm very proud of what the County of Orange has done. We stayed below the tax cap that the state imposes on us every year since its inception in 2011. The state of New York doesn't even have a tax spending cap, but they've gone over the spending cap every year if they were to have one. We're out of control with spending in New York State. John Bonisic told me many years ago, New York State doesn't have a revenue problem, they have a spending problem. And that's been the case for many, many years, and it's only going to get worse. So that's where I stand on small business, one of my strongest points. And the other is bail reform. First thing I'm going to do as a state senator is push for the repeal of bail reform. It's the most disastrous bill that we've ever seen in New York State history. You can see the criminals on the streets. City of Newburgh, we had a murder on September 11th, which wouldn't have happened if not for the bail reform. That person who killed the other person would have been in jail under the old bail reform. And we had also arrested 40 drug dealers, and 37 of them were back on the street with appearance tickets. It's disgraceful. I'm mayor of the Village of Montgomery for 30 years, and we just were awarded number 74 safest villages in the country, small villages and towns in the country, not the state, the country. I'm very proud of that. And we also have one of the fastest growing communities in New York State. And that's because people want to feel safe in their communities. And we have a modest minority population, and we have inclusion in the Village of Montgomery. And we have that, and people want to move there because they want to feel safe in their homes and they want to have quality of life. And you're not going to get that if you defund police, which my opponent seems to be pushing for, or if you have this bail reform as it is. So that's basically what I wanted to say. We can't hit on all the issues. My opponent and I will be hitting on them next week in our debate and the following week in our debate. So I look forward to any questions that you have. By the way, I didn't mention with the IDA accelerator, we do have accelerators in various municipalities, City of Middletown, City of Newburgh, most recently in the village of Highland Falls, which I'm sure Jim DiSalvo will talk about. He's very proud of it. But that's going to focus on issues like cybersecurity, robotics, automotion, and telemedicine. So we're trying to help out every community we can. Jobs are tight. The state has not done a good job during the pandemic. The goalposts have moved constantly with the governor's executive orders, and the Senate did not check those executive orders. And we all know what's happened with the nursing homes, with the deaths in the nursing homes, because the only governor in the country that forced positive COVID patients into our Valley View and our other nursing homes in Orange County. So with that, I know I was speaking pretty fast, but if I have any questions, whenever the format allows.
Okay, all right, so time on that. Thank you, Steve, appreciate it. I was trying to find the, and I didn't want to like jump in and say mute, and it's tough to see the time as it comes through, but we'll try to go for 5 minutes as best as possible. So thank you, Mr. Brescia, appreciate it. Okay, so next up we have incumbent James Skoufis. Let me just unmute your microphone.
I think I'm good.
Okay, got it?
Yep.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be back. It's nice to see so many friendly faces. And, this, for me, biannual forum is always an opportunity to really, spend a few minutes to respectfully ask for your support again, to highlight some things over the past couple of years and look forward. And I intend to do that. And just at all of these forums, each of the 2 years I've been in office, I don't think I ever say a negative word about my opponent. This isn't really the place to do it. But I would be remiss if I didn't just completely call out what Steve Brescia just said about defunding the police in my position. That is an outright lie. I have never said it. I have never voted to that extent. In fact, the New York State budget has very little to do with funding local law enforcement agencies. So just stop with the lies, Steve. That said, I've been proud to represent this community for the past 8 years. In fact, I consider the town of Highlands and village of Highland Falls as in many ways a home away from home. I'm in the community so often, and just as important as being a constant presence, I've fought tooth and nail to bring back funding to this community that is often otherwise ignored, whether it be funding to Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery, repaving roads, PIP a few years ago, 9W a couple of years ago. I'm pushing and I'm optimistic we're going to get 218 repaved next year. These are things that don't happen by magic or on their own. They happen when you have strong representation. But now looking forward to the next 2 years, what this community and quite frankly every community needs in the state is a steady hand on the tiller. I'm proud of the fact and privileged to have been in a position to have helped over 4,000 constituents with their unemployment insurance in the spring and the summer. They couldn't even get calls back from the Department of Labor. We were able to dislodge their applications in the bureaucratic mess that existed. We distributed thousands of PPE, masks, gallons of sanitizer. We helped pass. I championed a package of bills in the midst of the COVID crisis that provided paid sick leave to workers who contracted COVID, that provided death benefits to family members of those who lost loved ones on the front lines, workplace protections for both employees and employers alike. And I'll tell you, the preeminent small business organization in New York State that advocates for all of you and all small businesses in the state, they're the National Federation of Independent Businesses, NFIB. They looked at the 63 state Senate districts we have in New York, 63, and endorsed 2 Democrats out of those 63 districts. I was one of the 2. They cross party lines because they understand that each and every time there's an opportunity, I look out for our small businesses here in New York, regardless of what party or partisanship exists in that vote or in the environment. And look, the enormous guys always get help from the IDAs, including the Orange County IDA. They hand out boatloads of tax breaks, predominantly property tax breaks through pilots. You go down Main Street in the village of Highland Falls, and you ask every single small business owner on Main Street in Highland Falls if they pay their full rent or if they pay their full property tax bill. Every damn one of them pays their full bill. And that's why I'm fighting tooth and nail to deliver relief to our small businesses up in Albany. And that's why the NFIB crossed party lines to endorse me. So look, I'm proud as heck to represent the town of Highlands and the village of Highland Falls. I respectfully and kindly ask for all of your support for another 2 years to be able to continue this privilege that I have representing all of you in the state Senate. I thank you. Town of Highlands has been a friend of mine writ large. I'm proud to have done well each 2 years with both Democrats and Republicans in my elections. And I look forward to continuing to work in a bipartisan way the next couple of years with your support. Thanks very much for having me.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, James. All right, so we have completed our, just go back to, all right, we've completed our New York State Senate District 39 discussions. We will move on to New York State Assembly District 99. I'm just going to admit a few more people into the room. Okay, and again, thank you all for coming. For those of you that have just hopped into the room, just a reminder, what we're doing is we're going each individual seat by each individual seat. We start with the challenger and then finish with the incumbent to speak. Each one is given 5 minutes to speak. I notify them at the 4-minute mark and then at the 4:45 mark to close up their what they say to you. Please hold your questions until the very end. You're welcome to put things in chat, but it's best when we get to the Q&A session, which will be at the very, very end of this time that we have. We'll add some time in for Q&A, and that'll be the time where you'll put in your questions for chat, and I'll unmute your mic and so on and so forth. All right. So next up is New York State Assembly, District 99. Sarita Bhandarkar, I hope I've said that correctly. I'm just going to look for your window here.
I'm here. Can you see me?
I can. I'm just looking for, oh, here we go. I found you, and I'm just going to put you in the spotlight and
okay.
take myself off full screen. Little spotlights. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. So please go for it. And
okay.
Thank you.
All right, I still have you in the spotlight on my computer, but as long as I'm in your spotlight, then that's fine.
Let me just make sure here. Okay. Yeah, I apologize. I turned on spotlight for move and then spotlighting you. Yeah, you should be spotlighted, and I'll just confirm that while you're speaking.
Okay. All right. No problem. Okay. So thank you. Thank you to the Highlands Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to Tom for inviting me today. My name is Sarita Bhandarkar. You said it correctly both times. So thank you so much. And I am running for New York State Assembly in the 99th District. This is the first time that I'm running for office. I am, like many of you, I am a small business owner, and I have been working and living in this community for the last 12 years. I grew up here. I left for college. I left for law school. I worked in worked in the city for a few years, like many people do, I think, and then ultimately decided to come home. My roots are here. My parents, who are immigrants, moved to Orange County in the 1970s. My father had his own business here then, and so I learned that entrepreneurial spirit from him. And so when I first moved back to the district, I worked for 10 years for other people to build my law practice before going out on my own. I'm in my third year of having my own law practice. I practice primarily in elder law and Medicaid planning and special needs planning. And so what that means is that most of the time on a daily basis, what I am seeing are the struggles that everyday people are facing in this district. And that is what compelled me to run for office. I'm not somebody who from an early age thought that I would be a politician. It's just not, I like being in the background. I like helping people, but watching people, everyday people struggle, especially when somebody gets sick, especially when somebody needs nursing home care, watching how those families struggle has compelled me to run for office. I think that there are a lot of problems with the rules that we currently have. I think there are ways to fix them. And as a small business owner, I completely feel everyone else's pain when businesses were shut down so quickly. It was very disconcerting to try and figure out how you were going to pay your bills, how long you were going to be shut down. And yes, we do all pay our bills on Main Street. I literally have my office on Main Street in Cornwall. And what I would like to see from Albany, and the reason that I want to be in Albany to help initiate these changes, is I want to see changes that are friendlier to small businesses. I think that there there are ways that we can do that with respect to health insurance costs. Health insurance costs are very high for small businesses. Many people, I think, delay going out on their own because of those overhead costs. And I think there are ways to reduce those costs. I also think that there are ways to help working families in our communities who need nursing home care, either at home or in nursing homes. Right now, a lot of those rules are written more favorably to people who live in New York City. I am, despite what my opponent says, I'm not a socialist and I'm not a New York City plant. I don't know any of the people that he is associating me with. I've never met them, and I am not working on their behalf. I'm working on the behalf of the people in this district who I see regularly at risk of losing their homes when they get sick, or retiring and not being able to afford to stay here because they can't pay their property taxes, or they're struggling to pay their property taxes and they can't fix their roof and they're 80 years old. Those are the people that I work with on a daily basis, and those are the people that I care about. And for small business owners like me, I am, and I'm sure you are too, I am terrified that we are going to shut down again. And I have a business which I am thankfully able to do so much by Zoom and so much remotely, especially with some of those executive orders, which were actually very helpful for attorneys because they allowed us to execute wills remotely. They allowed us to execute powers of attorney remotely, which when you're in the middle of a pandemic and there are people who are genuinely afraid of dying with their affairs in disorder, those executive orders were extremely helpful and vital to giving people a sense of security, some of them literally in their last moments. When my opponent was playing politics, I was helping people in nursing homes. I was helping people literally arrange funerals because they couldn't have loved ones in the area to do it. So I understand the pain people have gone through over the last 6 months, and I am running to represent them. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Very timely. Got right at the 5-minute mark. So thank you for that.
I was watching the number.
Awesome. Okay. Next up, we will have Colin Schmitt. I'm going to unmute your mic, Mr. Schmitt.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Spotlight you and reset, and please commence.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Tom. Good morning to the chamber. I see a lot of friends and friendly names and faces here on the participant chat. So thank you all for joining. I'd like to thank all my fellow candidates for participating as well. I think it's a great part of our American system of elections and government that we can get together even during these difficult times virtually and have a conversation about different topics that impact town of Highlands, village of Highland Falls, our county, our state, and our nation. It's been an honor over the last 2 years to represent the town of Highlands, the village of Highland Falls in the New York State Assembly, 99th Assembly District. And on a side note, as a lifelong resident here of Orange County, it's always enjoyable to get down to the village, to get down to the town. Just a few weeks ago, my wife and I were celebrating our second wedding anniversary. We had our wedding in the town at the Thayer Hotel. And certainly I know many were involved with that process that were on here or know that story. I see John Willis on here and Dr. Sheboy, and certainly I know Jim Modlin's on here and Charlie Murphy and so many names. Again, appreciate working with you before being elected and while being elected, and I look forward to continue doing that moving forward. For those of you who may not know me, my office is in Washingtonville, and that's the district office. I'm also a member of the Army National Guard. I serve in the 1569 Transportation Company, which is actually based here in the Assembly District over on the civilian side of Stewart. And I'm ranking member of the Local Governments Committee in the State Assembly. I'm also on several other committees, but as a ranking member of the Local Governments Committee, I get a chance to work particularly with local government officials across the district and across the state. And that's both at the town and village level. I'm very proud of a bipartisan working relationship. Again, both sides of the aisle on both levels of government, Councilman King, I know he's on here, the mayor, Trustee Ramus, list goes on. I was just with yesterday working on a few projects. So it doesn't matter party, it doesn't matter level of government. I'm proud to have those relationships, and I'm willing to work with everybody. We don't have to agree on everything. We don't even have to agree on most things, but when it comes to working for the local constituents, I know we all agree on that. And that's something that I have been very proud to do and will very proudly continue to do. Should I earn your support for another 2-year term going forward. Some quick hits that we're talking about in this election cycle. Obviously, the local response and the statewide response to COVID-19, and it's certainly been privileged to be at the forefront of the local response, both as our state assemblyman and as a member of the Army National Guard, was activated for the federal relief mission for the COVID-19 mission. And in the very beginning outbreak of this pandemic, I can remember going down to the Jacob Javits Center when we still didn't even have a full understanding of what was going on, and helping set up hospital beds, helping set up the area down there for a potential mass outbreak and overwhelming of our hospital systems. And I can remember the fear both in the district, both down in the city, and even family and friends are coming back, trying to come back home, and having been down in Jacob Javits Center for 4 to 5 hours while they were bringing patients in and you were setting things up, and fighting to get that additional PPE for the frontline responders. It's not just some anecdotal comment. I lived it, and I was happy to stand shoulder to shoulder with the men and women of the United States military as we worked around the clock in uniform, but also keeping my office running remotely, working on thousands of constituent cases, whether it's unemployment, helping businesses secure tens of thousands of items of PPE, masks, hand sanitizer, and we're going to continue to do that. We had free antibody testing. I know some on this call took advantage of that in a partnership with the Horizon Family Medical Group, and also free senior meal delivery through a partnership with Falkirk Estates, local leaders, and union leaders. I know Mr. Falk, I don't know if he's on this call, with the local food pantry issue that's going on right now in the town of Highlands. And we've been working with him and with the county to provide some assistance in any way we can, especially to help out some of the seniors who have been negatively impacted on that. I know I'm running out of time. There's infrastructure issues, tax relief issues, local community issues and honors that we've done. And I certainly look forward to continue doing that. God bless everyone, and thank you for the honor of representing you.
Okay, thank you very much, Colin. So that concludes our New York State Assembly District 99 discussion. So we're going to move on to the next area with Town of Highlands Council. Before that, I should note a few adjustments. I was private messaged by a few individuals. I made some mistakes with some of the candidates that will be speaking later on. So first of all, it's Orange County Family Court, not Orange County Court. So I've made that adjustment on the slide that I mentioned at the beginning, Orange County Family Court. And Hyun Chin Kim is not running for 9th Judicial District. Hyun Chin Kim is running for Orange County Family Court. And Carol Klein, who is also here with us, will be speaking as well. So just those notes before we continue forward. Next up, we're going to speak with candidates for the Town of Highlands Council. We will start, and we decided, as I mentioned before, to go in alphabetical order for this particular area. So first up, we're going to, let me just make sure that we can find Jim DiSalvo on here. He would be the first to speak. I think, yep, I think I see Jim right there. He's waving. Hi, Jim.
Good morning.
Okay, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You. And Jim, I don't know if you received the email, but Tony Squicciarini, I hope I'm saying that right. He was unable to make it, but I sent you his words. If you'd like an extra minute or two to speak what he wrote, that's I think that's acceptable.
Sure. Thanks for thank you to everyone on the Zoom call today, and thanks for hosting to the Town of Highlands Chamber. Real quick, Tom, just a shout out that Hyun Chin Kim is running for county court and Carol Klein is running for family court. So there is a difference. There is a county court seat and a family court seat, just for your FYI and the folks who are joining us. Again,
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. No problem. It gets confusing this time of year. There's a lot of signs out and a lot of people running for office. So
Got it.
but again, thank you for having me. My name is Jim DiSalvo. For some of you folks that might not know me, I've lived in this community for getting 40 years now, as you can tell by the gray hair on my sides of my head. I've been involved in different boards in town. Old Sacred Heart School in Highland Falls when it was open. Later moved on to a county school in Goshen called John S. Burke, and then back to Mount St. Mary College in Newburgh, where I got my BS degree. I've worked locally for Walk Hill Valley Federal Savings and Loan, first as a branch manager and then as a regional manager, and now in residential lending. I love this community. I raised a family in the community. I have a family in the community, and just being involved and trying to do the best we can for our community is my primary focus for why I'm running for town board. I had served for town board for 4 years. Actually, was the first office I ran for. I was 21 years old when I had first started. And then, I had won that, lucky enough to win that with the support of the community. And 9 days later, I turned 22. So it was an interesting run for me. I ran with some good folks, and that was a good ticket. And I felt to be a little lucky more than experienced in running for office, as it was my first time. A couple issues for our community. It's the same old song and dance, I think, for most communities in Orange County and New York State as a whole. Taxes, spending seems to always be an issue in this state from the top down. So we try to control that as best we can. Providing service, your garbage pickup, your DPW, your police, your fire, the best we can with trying to stretch every dollar we can. And the overall quality of life, it's important that we try to maintain that quality of life. And part of that quality of life, as I mentioned before, with taxes, has to do with some smart economic development. And I think over the last few years, with my involvement in different organizations, including Orange County IDA, which Mayor Steve Brescia and Chairman of the Legislature Steve Brescia sits on there with me, we've been able to do a few things in Highland Falls, which has helped the community greatly. One was a grant to resurface some buildings on Main Street, and the other one was a Orange County IDA accelerator. So that will be, as we go through some time with that. COVID kind of delayed everything a little bit, but as we move forward, there's going to be a artificial intelligence accelerator in Highland Falls, and that should bring some interesting jobs and interesting folks to the community. Hopefully, provide jobs for folks that are here and bring some new folks into the community. So that part of our plan, and Tony and Mr. Squicciarini and I are running together as a team. You'll see our signs in town. We're on the same sign together. Because we're running on a team, and we feel important enough that we're getting involved to keep things simple and just do the good job for the people that hopefully elect us on the 3rd of November. So I don't know if I've hit my 5-minute mark because I'm not sure of the time wise, but that's kind of much our platform. Mr. Squicciarini could not make it today because he has a very, very big job opening up in, I believe, Putnam County. And so he's actually elbow deep into that project right now. And his focus and our focus is pretty much the same thing. He talks about spending. He talks about providing services. He has a very long resume of being involved in the community, being highway superintendent, being on the cemetery committee, starting the consolidated sanitation program in town. So both of us have, experience, and we both want to be able to do good things for the community. So that's my 5 minutes, Tom.
You actually have 1 more minute if you'd like to say a few other words, No, again, both our government life, Mr. Squicciarini and I, in our private life, we've been able to, make good relationships. My short term out at the
county as legislator, I've been able to make some really good friends out there, and those friends are able to see that we are here. There is a town of Highlands over at Route 6. We are part of Orange County, and I want to do whatever I can to continue that, to bring those grants in with the help of our Assemblyman Colin Schmitt and our county representation, especially Steve Brescia as chair. So it's important that we continue those relationships and that we continue to bring other ways besides taxpayer money into the community. And we've gotten a nice sidewalk program from our previous Senator Bill Larkin, who passed. We continue to do things on Main Street. We have a major paving project going on in the village, and there's a lot of work being done in the town. And I think we need folks who know what's going on, who are going to participate and work for the community for their elected position.
Very good. Okay,
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, so next up we have Mr. Ty King to speak. Let me just look for your spot on here. One moment, please. Looking for you here. Wow, there's a lot of people here today. My goodness. Ty King, if you're here, I'm just trying to scroll up. I see you. I'm gonna ask you to unmute your microphone. I just sent an unmute request. Okay.
Tom, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. I've just spotlighted you. So
Okay, great.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much. Good morning, everyone out there in Cyberland. I probably won't even need 5 minutes. What I want to do first is talk about who I am, and then I want to talk about what my experiences have been, and then I want to talk about the vision for the future. You know, first of all, I have been in the United States Army for over 30 years. I'm born and raised here in Highland Falls, New York. Went through all the Highland Falls schools, the elementary, the middle school, and then the high school. And then in 1984, I joined the military and went off to the Army and served for 30 years to include combat tours. So I'm a person that's deeply rooted in the community. My mother, Juanita King, and father, George King, are longtime residents there. And so in terms of experience, while in the military, I have worked in logistics and in emergency management and emergency response. And so for the last 5 years of being a town councilman, I've brought those experiences to bear to the community. Also, having a large network of people, you know, what I've done is produced events that draw a worldwide audience. Last year I had a veterans event, which had two visitors come from Germany to Highland Falls, New York, and one of which stayed in the local bed and breakfast there. So we started talking about, you know, a person who can not, you know, I don't even like the word politician, because what I like to think of myself as a servant leader. As a servant leader, I've created relationships across party lines with people like Colin Schmitt and then James Skoufis. I've known for the last 6 years I've been home, worked very close with him and taking care of my community. So as a servant leader, I'm going to give every ounce of energy to continue to serve the community in ways to raise their quality of life. And I don't look at this political landscape as winning and losing. I look at it as the community is going to decide if they want to continue to hire me to do a job, or they want to hire someone else. And then in hiring me to do a job,
Hire someone else.
Yeah, well,
Please, whoever,
well, see, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. See, a person that can't control himself to let another person speak, I don't think you're going to be a good representative, but that's my opinion. So in this case, I have decided to put my name back in the hat to continue to serve this community. And I want to also bring about a point that, you know, we need more diversity in these community, in these leadership positions. You know, we got folks from all over here now. It ain't like it used to be when I grew up, where it's just one dominant group of people. And we got a lot of smart people out there that I would like to see run, and I'm going to encourage them to run. So the future should look like this. The future should be somebody on your board that will come to work every day, work hard, represent you with honor, and not sit around talking about other folks and trying to create chaos. You know, so that is all I need to really say. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful day. Stay safe out there, and continue to beat Highland tough. Go Army, beat Navy. Cool.
Just to note, you have still have a minute and a half if you wanted to say anything else, or if you wanted to, whichever way you'd like.
No, I'll say one thing in my 1 minute. You know, one of the people running against me, probably the person that just chimed in and interrupted me, is on the school board, is on the village board, now wants to be on the town board. Holy cow. You got a lot of energy, my friend. Keep up the good work.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. King. I'm going to switch back to, just make sure I got this right on gallery view. Okay. All right. I think I'll use up the 30 seconds that are remaining before we go on to the next one. So I, just so you know, I had gotten a few individuals that had asked to be a part of this meeting yesterday to speak. So I think I keep on botching this a little bit. My apologies. So one more clarification. So Hyun Chin Kim is running for Orange County Court, whereas Carol Klein will be running for Orange County Family Court. There might be one or two more clarifications, but I just wanted to make sure that we got the titles right. But we'll continue to do this. My endeavor today is to not be like Chris Wallace. So hopefully I'm doing a little bit better than that bar last week in terms of moderation with respect to both of the individuals that spoke last week, but I want to try and make it as fair as possible because I'm very passionate about proper government. Okay, so we have two more individuals to speak for Town of Highlands Council. Next up, we have Jim Modlin. Mr. Modlin, I'm going to spotlight you and let's just, are you off of mute?
I am.
Okay, all right, please go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
All right, Tom, thank you. And good morning, everyone. Tom, you are doing well. I hope there's some folks that are looking at a moderator position for some of these upcoming debates and everything. So good job to you. Hey, everyone. I have to say it's sort of interesting being on this side of the screen talking to all of you. I know there's a lot of friends and colleagues out there from our days together working in the Chamber of Commerce. But I guess the reason I think you know something about me, unlike I believe just about, if not everyone else that you've heard from today, I am not a lifetime resident of the town of Highlands. I have been, Cindy and I have been involved with the town of Highlands for the last, I hate saying this, for the last 40 some odd years in a number of different roles. But the town of Highlands, Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery, quite frankly, we had a choice. We were approached a few years ago with an opportunity to make some decisions. And it became obvious to us that this is where we wanted to live and where we wanted to settle. We have been here since the 2013 timeframe. I have had an opportunity to serve in the United States Army for over 20 years, moved to a lot of different places, have seen a lot of different things, a lot of different communities, worked with a vast group of a lot of very diverse individuals. Since that time, I have been in business. I've been a business leader for a number of years. And most recently, I really sort of coincided with our move to the town of Highlands. I've tried to share what I have learned about working with people, about working with teams, organizations, communities, with our young people. And that is really the reason why I accepted a position to be a professor and instructor in the business school at Seton Hall University down in New Jersey. And so that's what I've been doing as my full-time job since moving to the town of Highlands. Have seen a lot of things, have done a lot of things. We have witnessed with a lot of communities as we have lived in a number of different places, a massive restoration and renovation, in essence, of communities that have been around, have a tremendously deep history, but have needed to restore themselves. And I see that potential, tremendous potential here in the town of Highlands, and want to try to bring that to the community. It's not just going to be me. This whole election is really not about any of the people running for office. This election is all about you, working with you, and trying to get us to where and tap into what our potential can be for the future. We have a lot to work with. There's a lot of great people. Those of us that have worked together in the Chamber of Commerce, my plan is to continue that momentum and continue that push, but now into local government. There's some things that the Chamber can do. There's a lot of things that local government can do to not only help small businesses. I'm very glad to hear a lot of the candidates and a lot of the incumbents very focused on economic development, working with small businesses. We definitely need to bring that to our community. We need to also have a strong advocate for our businesses on the town board. I certainly am going to be that. But not just for the small businesses, because with small businesses come economic growth, economic development, come jobs, come an enhancement and an improvement in the quality of life for everyone in the community. I've heard a number of people talk about how great Highland Falls was in the past, how great Fort Montgomery was in the past. When we were kids, we had this, we had that, all kinds of different opportunities. Not only do we need to bring that back, but we have an opportunity to make things in the future even better. So rather than looking at how can we get what we used to have, we need to look at what it is that we can do moving forward and make things even better. I've got a lot of ideas. I have some thoughts, and I have a wide variety of experience that I think I can bring to the community. So again, thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I look forward to answering any questions that you might have, and also talking to any of you as we are out and about over the next several weeks and going forward. So again, good job, Tom. Thank you again, and best wishes to you all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jim. Okay. We had Tony Squicciarini, and he sent me his notes, but I believe Jim DiSalvo had already spoken for him. So I think we can move on. So let me share my screen again. Okay. So again, clarification. I hope I'm getting this right. So we had a little bit of an adjustment to some of the final speakers. So Orange County Court, when the time comes, Hyun Chin Kim will be speaking. And then Orange County Family Court will be Carol Klein. But prior to that, we're going to have speakers, candidates for the Supreme Court 9th Judicial District. And in this case, what we did was we went with order of individuals that contacted us. So we will start with David V. Hasin. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm just going to look for your you on here. I think I found you. Okay, so we're going to, I don't think we could spotlight you. Mr. Hasin, if you can, I don't know if you're on video, but if you can start your video, that would be great. If not, not a problem, but you can unmute your mic and you're welcome to start speaking for 5 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you can't see me. I'm not sure which button I was to push here. Okay, well, I'm David Hasin. I'm speaking to you today from the Woodbury Town Court. I'm the judge here in the town of Woodbury. I've been the judge here for 15 years, and I appreciate you all having me. Everybody can hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Hello? Yes, okay,
yes, we can hear you.
I just wish you could see me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Oh, well, okay. Anyway, after graduating Rutgers University, I moved up to Orange County, and I've been living here for the past 30 years or more. Both my children have been born and raised up here in Orange County. I've been practicing law since the early 1990s, and as I alluded to earlier this morning, since 2005, I've been the judge in the town of Woodbury. I'm currently serving in my 4th term. I'm also the judge in the village of Tuxedo Park, where I'm serving in my 2nd term. Right now, I'm a candidate for the New York State Supreme Court with Judge Guertin as well. There are 4 seats open on the New York State Supreme Court, and the 2 of us are 2 of the candidates that are running. The New York State Supreme Court election this year is a very important one. Usually, there are very little representatives from Orange County who sit on the New York State Supreme Court. The 9th Judicial District encompasses not only Orange County, but also Dutchess County, Putnam County, Westchester County, and Rockland County. And because of the weight and the populations of Westchester and Rockland County, it's very hard getting Orange County judges onto the New York State Supreme Court. This year, we have several Orange County judges, residents, who are running for the Orange County Supreme Court. This is an excellent opportunity to get some Orange County judges on the court. It's also of paramount importance this year that we elect judges to the Supreme Court who have actual judicial experience. It's important for many reasons, but among these reasons is, as recently as last week, 40 to 50 judges on the New York State Supreme Court have been terminated. They have not been recertified in an effort to slash 10% off the court budget. So it's important this year that when we get judges onto the bench, that they can hit the road running. We need judges who have judicial experience, not people who are going to first learn how to be a judge on the job. I have been a judge for more than 15 years. I've been an accomplished judge. For those of you fortunate or unfortunate enough to have been in the Woodbury Justice Court, you know it is a very, very busy court with Route 6, the Palisades, the Thruway, and of course, the good old Woodbury Commons keeping us all busy here. I want to stress that when you're talking about candidates for Supreme Court, the issues that you really want to examine aren't the issues that you would look for a village board candidate or a state assembly candidate. When you're talking about candidates running for judges, you want candidates who can exercise compassion, who could administer justice impartially, and can always look at cases in an unbiased fashion. I take pride in my ability to have heard cases involving many, many different issues and always be able to evaluate these cases in an impartial manner. It's always been my driving force to administer fair play and substantial justice for everybody in my court. And I believe that this is the type of attributes you want to have on the New York State Supreme Court. I unfortunately have no idea how much time has gone by.
You have another minute.
Okay. Well, I can say that over the past several years, I've been recuperating from a terrible head-on car accident I had on Route 208 in Blooming Grove in 2015. It took me about 3 years to fully recuperate from that accident. I'm back. I'm better than ever. I can't run anymore. Other than that, I feel I'm stronger than ever, and I'm ready to take my judicial experience to the next level, to the New York State Supreme Court. And I appreciate everybody's time. And again, I apologize for why I haven't been able to figure out to get my picture on the screen, but trust me, I'm not a bad-looking guy.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Not handsome, but not bad-looking.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your time to speak. And our next guest is Mr. Richard Guertin. Let me just find you and unmute you. One moment, please. Richard.
I'm in.
I see you. Okay. Let me spotlight you. And I know you're in that you have a matter to attend to very shortly, so I'm just going to get you started. Please go ahead.
All right, thanks very much. I am Rich Guertin. I'm a full-time city court judge here in the city of Middletown. And yes, Tom, you're right. I do have a criminal calendar starting this morning, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. I expect under 5 minutes. I want to thank David for explaining about what the 9th Judicial District covers. It is a big district. It's 5 counties. In fact, David and I last night spoke to the Orange and Sullivan Women's Bar Association, and it was good to see David again. For my background, I grew up here in the city of Middletown, went to Orange County Community College, worked a year in Washington with Congressman Ben Gilman. Then after law school, I went to NYU. After I graduated, I spent 2 years with a big international law firm based in LA and Washington. And 2 years in, I was visiting mom and dad up here in Middletown. And I saw John Bonisic, whom I knew from high school. He was in the Kiwanis, local Kiwanis club. And he said, Rich, come on back home. I need an associate. So I came back up in Middletown 1983. And since that point, I've had about 32 years of private practice mixed in with a lot of municipal work, mostly civil during all those years. I handled real estate, small estates, wills, business advising. In fact, I teach business law part-time at Orange County Community College. Been doing that for quite a while. And most of my work has been focused on municipal work. I was city attorney for many years, the attorney for the town of Waukegan, town of Wawayanda, some villages, planning boards and such. So I'm very familiar with what's going on in the area. I'm very familiar about the business and what the businesses have to go through. I had my own practice, so I understand the vagaries of business, the ups and downs, and wondering if people are going to pay you. In the city court, I handle all civil cases, and that's what Supreme Court handles. They handle civil cases. So I'd be just stepping up into a world that I'm very familiar with, and I have a very broad background to cover that. Oh, by the way, I was Commissioner of Public Works for 2 years while I was Corporation Counsel. That was quite an interesting experience. People focus on the legislative and executive races, but as David said, it's a critical year for judicial candidates and to elect good judges, people who know the community and have the experience. The way I will focus on cases in Supreme Court is the way I focus on them now in City Court. I focus on every case as if it is the most important in the world, because to that person standing in front of me, their case is the most important. And I have to realize that as a judge. I have to be fair and impartial and realize that they're probably nervous standing in front of me. So I do my best to try to help them get through the process. I want to be known as a fair judge, and I think I am. And I tell people, you may win, you may lose, but I want you to get a fair shake when you are in front of me. So as Supreme Court, I will handle cases as I do as a city court judge, which means without prejudice, with great respect for the rule of law and the application of the law to the facts of the case in front of me. So again, I do have to go. I apologize. I do have a calendar to start. As I mentioned to Tom, there's a joke that says court starts when the judge gets there. But I don't buy that. I have to respect people and I have to respect their time. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm sorry that I have to leave. But again, Tom, thank you. Thank you for hosting this, and good luck to all the candidates. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Guertin. So next up, we have the Orange County Court. Hyun Chin Kim will be speaking. I'm going to unmute your mic. Okay, there we go. And let's spotlight you. Okay. Can you hear?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Please commence.
So first, I'd like to thank everybody for joining this discussion, and thank you, Highlands, and thank you, Tom. There's been some confusion as to what I'm running for, so I just want to start off by saying I'm running for Orange County Court. In case people do not know what county court is, that is where all the serious felony criminal cases come before in Orange County. Just to tell you a little bit about my background and my qualifications for this position, I started off my legal career as an assistant district attorney in Bronx County. And I rose to the level of trial division where I handled and tried all the serious cases in Bronx County. And you can imagine in 1990, it was a very busy court. So I have a vast experience in criminal law, handling exactly the same type of cases that are going to come before county court. I left Bronx County because I met and married my husband, who is a fourth generation Orange County resident. And we decided that when we wanted to raise a family, we wanted to be close to family. So we moved back here to Orange County. And this is where I've lived for the past 20 years. This is where my children were born. They were born in St. Luke's Hospital right here in Newburgh. They've gone to Newburgh schools. I understand this community. I love this community. And that is part of the reason why I'm running for county court. When we moved up here to Orange County, I joined a local Hudson Valley firm for a few years, and then I joined the Orange County Attorney's Office, where I rose to the position of Chief Assistant County Attorney, overseeing all of the civil litigation here in Orange County for the municipal division, which basically meant that whenever the county got sued in Supreme Court, civil court, whichever court, my unit oversaw all that litigation. So there has not been one trial that has occurred or any cases that have gone by in Orange County when I was the chief assistant county attorney that I did not personally handle or that I did not supervise. While at the county attorney's office as well, I continued on with some of the criminal law practice because I represented various departments such as the sheriff's department, such as the sheriff's office, such as the probation department, and other cases that involve those issues and those natures. But I left the county attorney's office, and presently I work in county court. I work for a county court judge, the Honorable William DeProspo, and I am his court attorney. So I help him with all the judicial proceedings. I can tell you that I have been assisting him with every single trial that has occurred in that courtroom, with every single hearing, any type of judicial proceedings I have been present for. I have assisted in drafting every single decision that has come out of that courtroom. So I have hands-on experience in county court. I know what a county court judge needs to do. I know the type of work that has to be done, and I know how to get it done. I am the only candidate. I believe everybody is quite aware of the bail reforms and the discovery reforms and all the criminal reforms that came into effect in January and some new additions in July. I am the only candidate who has had experience dealing with those issues in felony court, in county court. No other candidates had that experience. I bring to this job a varied legal skill set and legal knowledge, which I think is very important because I think that, Judge Hasin had stated earlier in what's happening now with the court system, with the budgetary constraints, judges are going to be asked to do much more than they are doing already now. And if called upon, county court judges often act as acting Supreme Court judges. And with my varied experience in criminal law and with civil law, I oversaw all the civil litigation here for this county. I can start that job on day one. I can do both the criminal matters and I can do both the civil matters. I'm the only candidate with extensive experience in both criminal and civil law. I'm the only candidate with extensive experience in state court and federal court. I've tried numerous cases in the Southern District, and I've also argued multiple cases in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. And I'm the only candidate with extensive experience in both trial courts and the appellate courts. So I've done it all. I believe that in my 25 years of experience, I have demonstrated the ability to be fair and even-handed, working with crime victims, working with law enforcement agencies, and working with the defense bar, and earning the respect of all. I believe that a judge has to make some tough decisions, and in that regard, you have to have a certain understanding, and I have a diverse life experience to draw upon. As you can see, I am an Asian American, I'm a female, I'm a full-time mother, and I have to tell you that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. All right, but thank you very much. I appreciate your attendance here. And I should indicate my apologies for my continual mistake with the seat that you're running for. So Orange County Court, and thank you for clarifying as well. Several of the other individuals running for office in various capacities indicated to me as well. So appreciate just forbearance on that. So, but thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're just about done. We have one more individual to speak, and I hope I'm getting the title, the role correct. Orange County Family Court. We have Ms. Carol Klein, who is joining us. Just going to ask you to unmute your mic, and let me just. Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Good morning. Thank you, Tom, and Highlands Chamber and all members of the town of Highlands. My name is Judge Carol Klein. I'm running for re-election as Orange County Family Court Judge. The Family Court is a court that is a rehabilitative, not a punitive court. I have been on the bench over 20 years, and prior to that, I was 12 years as town justice for the town of Chester. In the town of Chester, I had in my jurisdiction Camp LaGuardia, 1,000-bed men's homeless shelter, as well as Pius School for Boys, which gave me an excellent training to be a family court judge. Prior to taking the bench, however, I was a trained mediator of all divorce and mediation cases in custody, visitation, and divorce mediation. Also was a prosecutor for the Department of Social Services in all abuse and neglect cases. In addition, I was an attorney for the children for many years, as well as defense counsel. I've also done legal services for the elderly. I have sat on many mental health boards, developmental disability boards, and substance abuse boards. But the problem-solving courts are so important in family court. I started the family treatment court and the juvenile justice court. And I look at each individual holistically. In other words, from the top of the head to the tip of the toes, giving everybody the time that they need in court. And before taking the bench, it was very important to me to understand delivery of services, what the needs for families were. So I went and I understood by going to each of the programs and talking to them, I got to understand what families need. I have a child who is on the spectrum, autism spectrum, who has many challenges, and that has taught me empathy and patience. You want a judge who is fair, compassionate. You want a judge who will give you the dignity and respect and treat everybody equally, no matter who they are. I love Orange County. My whole life has been working with children and families. It is so important that you understand, even in my community, I'm a 32 member of Chester Kiwanis. I was administrator for mock trial. I have been involved with the Think Differently committee from the county executive, looking at children and adults and thinking differently in employment and other issues, and also among the Autism Move-a-thon of Orange County. But this race is not about politics. It's for standing up for children. I want to thank you, and please tell you to vote.
Okay, and Ms. Klein, you also have a minute left if you'd like to add anything or if you'd like to stop there, either way is fine.
Actually, Tom, if you don't mind, I have a crushing family court calendar and they're calling me right now, but I did not want to miss the opportunity to be here today and to talk to you. Thank you so much to everybody and be safe.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ms. Klein. I want to thank all the candidates for having spoken. And I also want to thank all the candidates for being very timely. I had a little bit of a sleepless night yesterday, just thinking about trying to make sure that everything was timed correctly and that it was orderly. And I think across the board here, every single one of our 4, 8, 16 individuals that spoke stuck with that 5-minute format. It's very much appreciated. I think that you're a testimonial to all of you to how orderly Q&As and debates and other things can go. So it's very much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to move on to our next segment, and that's our question and answer session. Oh, wait, let me make sure I have the right screen up. Okay. Our next part of the format. So it's 9:15. Obviously, people might have to come and go to various work elements. So our question and answer session, the way that we've decided to divide this as orderly as possible, again, is we're going to go by individual government seat. So we're going to start with New York State Senate District 39, then move on to Assembly, Town of Highlands Council, 9th Judicial Court District, and then finally Orange County Court and Family Court. And again, reminder that several individuals had to step away for matters. No order in this case. The incumbent or the challenger questions can be put into chat. I will be viewing them momentarily. So the order for this is please put your question in chat first. I'll put a little screenshot up on the screen if I can momentarily, but basically the order, if you can do this, please write in the name of the candidate that you want to ask the question to. Then put in the question itself, 1 to 2 sentences. It has to be really brief, and it should be only 15 seconds max. And then I'm going to unmute your mic when your question is next. I'll indicate for you to speak. And then if the person to be hearing the question can unmute their mic, I'll try and unmute it as well as best as possible, but we'll see what we can do here. So, and I'm also going to just put a little message here. Let me screenshot this so that you can see how this would go. So in Zoom, for those of you that are just here in Zoom for the first time, let me just share with you the way that this would look on your screen. So at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's a little chat button to the right. And then on the right-hand side, you just write in your question there, preferably to me privately, and then I'll just pick up the question from there and then ask to the person in question. So the first is from Catherine. Skoufis financial difficulties in local municipalities. I'm going to unmute your mic, Catherine.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Morning, James.
Hi, good morning. Hi, Kat.
First, I want to say thank you for being a great friend to the town of Highlands. You're here whether you're running or not, so we do appreciate that. I know that this COVID-19 has created great financial issues everywhere, but I want to know what is your best take on what the local municipalities can expect, over the next year to 18 months as far as like state fund availability.
Yeah, good question. And so there are a few dominoes to fall here. The first domino of which is Congress and the White House going to give state and local governments COVID-19 relief? And unfortunately, as of late yesterday, the negotiations down there have been called off. I'm optimistic that come January or February, there will be another stimulus bill, because the matter of fact is when you close down businesses, the state's not collecting sales tax, the county's not collecting sales tax, which gets distributed to localities. When people get laid off or furloughed, that's less personal income tax revenue. And so there's a significant financial stress. That's the first domino to fall. But make no mistake, last year, the governor tried to cut the AIM program, which is the primary source of revenue for local municipalities from New York State. I and like-minded colleagues successfully fought to restore that program, and that funding was protected. And the last piece I'll say, because I know these answers have to be brief, the last leg of the stool I'll mention is that IDAs need to stop subsidizing large projects that rip away tax revenue from local municipalities. You have the Orange County IDA not too long ago subsidize a project in Goshen saying, well, you need an incentive to do this project, despite the fact that shovels were already in the ground. Why do you need to incentivize a project that is clearly already moving forward without the incentive? All that does is literally steal tax revenue from that local municipality, and you, the rest of taxpayers, small businesses, homeowners, pick up that tab. And so there needs to be a lot more accountability with these projects, IDAs. The comptrollers actually come down and slapped the Orange County IDA not too many years ago for giving unwarranted subsidies and not keeping track of them.
Okay. All right. Time. Thank you. And I apologize. I know it's very tough, and maybe we'll adjust this. I'll give equal time to individuals going for the same seat. Does anyone, so we're still on the New York State Senate District 39 Q&A. Does anybody have any additional questions for either Mr. Brescia or Mr. Skoufis? I'll just wait a moment to see if anything comes in. All right, we don't see anything here. All right, does anybody, I know that chat is sometimes a little bit unclear how to do this. Does anybody have a question where they'd like to raise their hand, and I'll unmute your mic? So I'll just wait for a few moments for that to come in. I see somebody's finger. I don't know if that counts as, I think that was a peace sign. Okay, I don't see anything coming in, so we're gonna move on to New York State Assembly District 39. We did get a question that came in from Mr. Donald Schwartz. So I'm gonna unmute your mic. Okay, actually, Donald, if you can unmute your mic on your side, I'm gonna spotlight you, and please ask your question to Assemblyman Schmitt.
Hi, my name is Donald Schwartz. My question is for Assemblyman Schmitt. I hope you're hearing this. I wanted to know your views on the governor's approach to the COVID-19 virus. Do you think he's doing a good job, or would you do things differently?
I think I'm unmuted. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, now we're on. Well, thank you very much for the question, Donald. I appreciate you staying on for this whole forum. You know, certainly COVID-19 has impacted all of us, every walk of life, you know, in profound ways. And, you know, we've been in a crisis, and we've been learning in a crisis just in the last 2 days with the senator, with other assembly members and senators from across the region. We've been back on with the cluster that we have here in Orange County and Rockland County. Thankfully, the Rockland County cluster does not directly impact our 99th Assembly District, but the Orange County cluster outbreak certainly does. And we've been working, again, in bipartisan fashion with the governor, who in the first few weeks and first few days of this cluster, we're talking about shutting down an entire zip code. And that, quite frankly, that just would not work. Thankfully, that was the approach. That approach was thrown out, and working with our county executive, with our county officials, town officials, and again, in bipartisan fashion with colleagues, everybody was pushing in the same direction to ensure that, listen, we need to keep everybody healthy. We need to keep everybody safe. But the first pronouncement that comes from the governor might not always be the most accurate. We can't be shutting down businesses and schools that have already started the reopening process that might not be directly impacted by the clusters. Secondarily, I am co-sponsoring legislation in the New York State Assembly, and I know there's also mirror legislation in the New York State Senate, which will just restore much of the checks and balances to a lot of these issues that we've been seeing, to make sure that as a co-equal branch of government, the state legislature, we do have a check and a say in the approach that the executive is doing and that the chamber is doing. So I fully support that. We put that up as an amendment to, I'm seeing I'm getting the high sign there, but we've put that up as an amendment, and we're going to continue to advance that as well, because I believe we need to have a co-equal check on the executive at all times. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And do we have any other questions for either Sarita Bhandarkar or Colin Schmitt for New York State Assembly District 39? Okay, going once, going twice. And does anybody, if anybody needs to raise their hand?
Tom, I would like to respond as well to Mr. Schwartz's question, if that's possible.
It would have to, and I apologize for this. It would, yeah, just to, you know, yeah. And, but certainly if you'd like to communicate with Mr. Schwartz offline, you guys can chat privately to go a little bit further. But yeah, and for future Q&As, we'll try to adjust the format a little bit. I know this is a little bit imperfect, but we'll try to keep it good on both sides. So
all right, well, I'll put it in the chat then. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've completed New York State Assembly District 39. We're going to move on to Town of Highlands Council. We did have a question that came in from Catherine. So let me just unmute your mic, and this is to Jim DiSalvo. So we're going to ask you to unmute your mic, and we're going to spotlight you. Okay, go ahead.
Morning, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Let me start off, and nobody else is going to maybe understand this, but let me say the struggle is real. You go. I am so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, so right now you're sitting on the school board, the village board, and you're looking to get onto the town board, as well as, of course, the fact that you work a full-time job and have a wife and a baby. How do you think you can give the time that each of those positions deserves, considering so many hours in a day?
Thank you. I appreciate the question. Well, listen, I do currently sit on the Village of Highland Falls Town, a village board, and I am a member too. That'll probably come off the plate. I don't foresee seeking a second term on that. It's been a good experience on the school board. I've learned a lot about the school system and how it works. And for me, it's another tool in my toolbox to try to serve the community better. I think there's going to be a lot of good similarities if I get elected in November, sitting on the town board and village board. I think that we could probably, I think there's a good relationship between the mayor and supervisor. I think there could be a better one between the village and the town. I think we could do more together. And I'm hoping to be that bridge to that success. I have a pretty good time management. I have a very good flexible family, flexible enough time schedule at work. So I'm able to put the time in where I can put the time in, and I maximize the time I do put in. I spend my days start usually at 7 in the morning, and they usually end 7 at night. And during that time frame, I'm dealing with just about everything, whether it's a village issue, whether it's an IDA issue, whether it's a school board issue, whether it's a work issue. Of course, if my boss was asking me, I would tell him that I'm spending more time with work issues. But you know, it is a reality. But I am in town. I am in town constantly, and I will put the desired and the appropriate time in for the position.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. DiSalvo. Very good. Okay, our next question comes in from Donald Schwartz. Donald, I'm just going to unmute your mic again. Oh, actually, you're off of mute, so I'm just going to spotlight you. Please go ahead.
I have a question for Jim in any case, which is to say, what would you do differently than what has been done before in your position?
Just one clarification. Which Jim are you referring
Modlin.
to?
Modlin.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so Jim Modlin, I will unmute your microphone and go ahead.
Hey, Donald, how you doing? It's Jim here. Good question. That you know, I think we need to take a relook of how we do business in the town, in the entire community, but relook how we do things, what our priorities are, how are we spending money. One thing I have to say that you know, bring a business mindset behind this, I guess. One thing I was glad to hear, and I have had an opportunity to meet several of the candidates at both the Senate and the Assembly level. And there was even some talk about doing something about the unfunded mandates that we have, that I'm feeling pretty confident that whoever wins the election at both of those levels, that they're going to be our advocates for being able to help us with that. Because one thing I've noticed since I've lived in the community, and certainly have heard from a lot of people, is that something has got to be done with the taxes that we have on this community. And, you know, we've got to get past the point of declaring victory just because we're staying underneath a tax cap. That's my opinion. That's one of the things that I want to look at. I want to try to figure out and understand better. But the fact of the matter is our taxes are continuing to increase. And so that is something that I want to take on, look at, work with the town, work with the village on, and try to figure out how we can maybe fundamentally relook how we're going to go about doing that, because we are increasingly making it more difficult for people to be able to afford to stay here, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions for people running for Highlands Council? Okay, we just got another one that came in from Catherine to Jim Modlin. I'm going to spotlight you, Catherine, again. Okay, please go. Commence.
Hey, Jim. Hey, Jim. And the Chamber of Commerce, as the president of the Chamber of Commerce, you fostered a great relationship between the Chamber and somewhat the village and town and West Point. So I'm wondering, how would you use that as a town councilman to benefit the taxpayers here?
Well, yeah, thanks for the question, Kathy. And you know, and in terms of relationship and fostering stuff like that, you know, this has been a Chamber of Commerce effort, and a lot of folks have been working very hard with that. I'm certainly convinced. I mean, I take the town of Highlands at what the town of Highlands is, and that is, it is the community of Highland Falls, the community of Fort Montgomery, Bear Mountain, and West Point. And I really look at it that way in terms of we are all in this together. I'm a big believer of the old saying that as the tide rises, all ships are going to rise together. There is no question in my mind that we all want to have a great, thriving community. You know, folks that I know at West Point feel that way. Folks that I know here in Highland Falls and Fort Montgomery, we're all in this together. There are so many things that make us similar in what we are trying to do that sometimes we lose sight of that and get focused in on some of the things where we may disagree on some things. So I think we're all looking for the same thing. I think we are extremely fortunate to have Bear Mountain and West Point as part of our community. And it gives us an opportunity to be a tourist area. It gives us an opportunity to be a small town, college town opportunity. And there's all kinds of things that we can do and we can better leverage. We just need to continue talking. The issue is communicating with one another and seeking common ground. And I think that's what we've been trying to do for the last few years here. I think it's been successful. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Also, my apologies. I forgot to spotlight you, Mr. Modlin, to be able to respond to that question, but appreciate your answer.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Highlands Town Council? You just switch to gallery view, going once, going twice. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue forward. So our next area, now this, as I mentioned before, several individuals had to leave for various matters, but we have next up Supreme Court 9th Judicial District. I'm not sure if either David or Richard are here. Let me just see if I can find you guys. I think David Hasin is here. Richard, I don't believe is here. Does anybody have a question for Supreme Court 9th Judicial District?
If I may, Tom?
Well, we're just going to go, apologies, we're just going to go with question answer format. So we have to have a question asked first.
I just wanted to see if my camera was fixed, that's all.
Oh, yes, actually, yes. And I think in fairness, let's just spotlight you very briefly so that everybody can see you as we have mentioned. So that this is Mr. Hasin. So we were able to fix that.
Hasin.
Awesome. Hasin. Thank you. Okay, Orange County Court. Anyone have a question for Orange County Court? Going once, going twice. And finally, Orange County Family Court. Going once, going twice. Okay. All right, so I believe that should complete our question and answer session. It should also complete our, I think we've been doing this about 5 years in a row, and so far it's been pretty good, and we appreciate all the individuals that have showed up, both from local government as well as regional and state governments. Very much appreciated. I'm not gonna, I know everybody has to get to work and do things, so I just want to end with this one quote. And I was trying to find a proper quote to, I guess, encapsulate what we've experienced today. And obviously this is election season. And I didn't think it was fair to even mention anyone locally, so we wanted to be impartial. So I found this quote from Winston Churchill, and it's been said that democracy is the worst form of government, except all the others that have been tried. So if everything works out nicely this coming November, we'll have an orderly transition of government, and the people that have been duly elected to office will carry on the responsibilities that we've set forth for them. So with that, I want to close our candidates forum. I want to thank each and every one of you for attending today. Please note that this video will be available shortly on the Highlands Tourism and Highlands Community page. You can visit the Highlands Tourism page at facebook.com/HighlandsNY. And if you'd like to learn more about the town of Highlands, which encompasses Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery, and West Point, please visit us online at highlandfallsny.com. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.